early Beethoven, written when he was about in his early 20s. One of his very first published works, his Opus 1, number 1, in fact. So that's pretty close to the note, I have to say. Yes, gorgeous. He was wonderful. He wrote beautiful extended melodies. He was such a melodicist, and it's interesting how as Beethoven evolved and became more ensconced in the Romantic tradition later on, he became more and more fragmented, more of these dramatic mood changes, and no longer do we have these, well, we did have expansive melodies from time to time, but often they were truncated and cut short.
Yeah.
And as his mental health sort of deteriorated, but of course that's the charm of Beethoven as well. It's the human experience, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, I just love those tunes. I'm tutoring a group at the moment at one of my workplaces with some very, very talented young people, and we're working on the number 2. I can play you a bit. Number 2 from the same series. I'll play a commercial recording of a bit of it, and you'll get a sense of this. The melodic, the first subject of the exposition of the first movement is so expansive. It's like one tune upon another upon another. It's like an extended melody which has about 4 different shapes, and I just find it still makes my it has a physiological effect. When I hear them play this, I think, oh, this is such masterful writing.
Yeah.
Anyhow, here we go. Beethoven Trio number 2. I'll just play a little bit of the first movement, and I'll be working on this first thing on Monday morning. It's 7:30 in the morning. But here it is, just a section of the. I think I'll play it from about 3 minutes in, because there's an extended adagio first, and then after that we have the. I think it's about 2 minutes. Yeah, you'll hear it. This is the end of the opening adagio, and then you'll hear the tune which I just mentioned. And it goes on into the development section. But yes, I love those melodies, and I love the writing. And it's a young Beethoven. He was so inspired.
Yes.
And you can hear the influence of Haydn, and you can hear the influence of Mozart. Very strong. in those works written in about 1794, thereabouts.
Was the big transition from Rococo to Romanticism, wasn't it?
Well, the Romance, yes, that transition happened probably about 10, 15 years later.
Yeah.
As sort of Beethoven was sort of the catalyst, really.
He led
the charge, and suddenly music became more harmonically sophisticated, and the melodic lines were not so classically poised as they are here. And
so there's still that sort of balanced sort of.
Yes, it's very balanced. That's the sort of the archetype of classical form is balance and proportion, and everything is measured and has this beautiful sort of idealized sort of nature. And
like sort of architecture.
Yes, it is, exactly. Precisely, it is. Classical architecture is just supremely proportioned and beautiful and follows Grecian models and such. And same with the music. And then in the Romantic era, things started to become more asymmetric. We started to lose, the shackles came loose, and suddenly richer harmonic colours came into the picture, and music, melody was emancipated and started to have a lot more asymmetry, and would frequently morph into something else, and there'd be
more
a lot
spontaneous, really.
That's right. It sort of had more of a sort of an emotional reach, in the sense that ideas sort of are born upon ideas, sort of thing, and so not as measured in a sense. But anyhow, it's interesting to hear this early work of Beethoven. He wrote, look, his first cello sonata, similarly, it's got the most beautiful melodic line. I used to play this work. I'll play a bit of it. It's just, it's marvellous. Cello sonata in F major. It's similar era. It was written around about 1795. Cello sonata in F major by Beethoven. I think it's his first. He wrote 5 cello sonatas. Yes, here it is, Opus 5, number 1. Who shall we hear? Rostropovich will do, and Richter. Just hear the opening of this. Again, it's an adagio. No, we'll jump into the main tune. Wait a minute, that's the rondo. We don't want the rondo. We want the adagio and allegro. Here it is. And I will cut into the... bear with me. I want to find the right spot. Okay, I think I've got the right thing. It's just worth harping on this because, these are beautiful melodies, and it's a work that's close to my heart. I know it. It's in my fingers. We have this adagio first. He often did this. He often would precede things with an adagio, something more contemplative, and then there'd be an awakening. Here we go, fairly soon. We're just hearing the end of the adagio. repeat the exposition. Yeah. Oh God, I love that music.
Yeah.
It really strikes a chord. I spent so long studying it. I know the intricacies of it. I know the way he texturally makes it work. It's not easy to bring the cello out with the piano because it's often lost in the mid-lower register.
Sure,
and he did that really successfully with that tune. I'll play just while we're at it, just a tiny bit more. A little bit of the rondo, because the rondo features a raw folk melody, which is rare for Beethoven. And it's a folk tune, which he just completely brings out into the middle of the piece.
Oh, boy.
It's quite fascinating, and it's an absolute joy to play. It's the rondo from the same sonata. I'll just play a little of it. When you'll hear the folk tune come out, it's just incredible. Here we go. Here it is.
Yeah.
That's all you get. It doesn't come back.
Right.
I never forget the feeling of exhilaration playing that little folk melody when it comes in. It's just such a moment
Out of the blue, isn't it?
It is. And that's a signal of what was to come.
Yeah.
Sort of moving, doing obscure things like that, throwing something else into the mix. I think that is just amazing. Oh, I'm reliving it. Anyhow, that's enough. I'll change tack.
That's lovely.
But it's fun to play these and listening to early Beethoven. I'm sort of immersed in it because of the tutoring I'm doing at the moment with this.
Yeah, that's great.
With this very talented trio. They're wonderful. They're very sensitive musicians. They're very switched on. So that's all good. Yeah, anyhow, we haven't touched base. Sorry, I just went on a
No, that's wonderful.
bandwagon there. Any news, your coalface?
Not really. Les Paul's birthday on the 9th of June.
Oh, 9th of June. Oh, that's behind us, isn't it? That's Henry's birthday, actually.
Yeah, just a bit.
Yeah. Okay, 9th of June, Les Paul.
This week, it was in the last week anyway.
Yeah, we'll have to pay some Les Paul. We'll do that.
Les.
Yeah, we can do that.
Good.
For sure. That'd be good. And I've just been, just doing home stuff, getting ready for our trip. I did zip out briefly. I took an hour out and drove down to Mulgrave and had a little sneak peek at the HRSA swap meet today.
Oh, good.
Yeah,
You didn't make any purchases?
I did actually, just a small one.
Why am I not surprised?
Well, just a small one. It was, in fact, I almost came away with nothing. And at the end, I saw at the table under a table an old radio horn from the 1920s.
Oh, yeah, well, we're into the horns.
Yes, I do like the horns, and
yeah.
this is a sort of one in pieces, but it's quite large, and I'll probably modify the bell to use for phonographs. So
Yeah, I know, of course.
yeah, so there we go, $10 purchase. And nothing else, but I did speak to one of the older members of the fraternity who is a collector of 1920s radios, and this time last year I bought quite an interesting portable set, an AirZone, from him, and he was selling it on behalf of the club, and it was cheap, and I've since got it going with 1920s valves and everything, but it's still got a few missing parts. It's missing its reed speaker. I was using it with a horn speaker or something separate, but the AirZone was a portable set, and this was one of the first portable sets sold, and in Australia.
What year?
1928.
Okay.
It's pretty early. And anyhow, he's the expert on 1920s radios. I think he's very elderly, but he's got this amazing knowledge. And I spoke to him today about the project, and he just wrote out the circuit by memory. How's that for amazing? Yeah.
Very, very good.
Yeah, it's really good. So yeah, I've got a few key points to tweak up, and I'll keep working on it because I'd just so love to take it out on the field. A wireless from that time, take it on a picnic. Wouldn't that be fun?
It would be loads of fun. So it's all batteries.
Yeah, and it's a TRF, so the tuning is so it's hard to tune up. But
very precise.
It is, and the antenna is in the lid, so it's
a loop, is it?
Yeah, it's a loop antenna, and it's embedded within the lid, and they've made little tracks, and they've got the wire circulating in a circumference, and it's in the front part of the lid there's a large piece of card with instructions, but also a table for people to report what stations they've listened to, and
very good,
to log them, so they know, because the dial it's got two tuning arrangements.
One for the TRF.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, there's two. So you have to get the two numbers in correct. So you log that, and then you know. But this person had been listening to 3LO or 3LO and 3AR back in the very early days.
Wonderful.
Pre-ABC. So yeah, I thought that was 3UZ. So interesting. Anyhow, that's a project that's sort of hard.
What exactly is a reed speaker?
It's a high impedance speaker, and it's the very first generation of cone speakers, internalized cone speakers. Horn speakers, of course, were all the go in the 20s.
Sure, I know about that.
Which are just glorified telephone receivers with a horn on them. Very poor quality. Reed speakers were just had a typical modern speaker membrane. They look like normal contemporary speakers, but they just have this tiny little reed vibrating armature, which is set within two coils.
That operated the cone.
Yes, operated the cone. So it's sort of remotely connected to the cone. Right. So it's not dissimilar to modern speakers, but it's
high impedance.
Very high impedance, about 4,000 ohms.
So not really magnetic.
No, it is. It has got a magnet and a coil. Nearly all of them are open circuit now.
Oh, I see.
Because they used a very, very fine coil wire, and they just don't. That sort of wire just doesn't last 100 years. So, and I was talking to him about this, and he said, "Look, you can just rewind if you can find some contemporary very fine wire, you can use a drill." And he said it's not very non-critical, and he said it's actually better to have the bunching and not have it perfectly aligned. Like with a transformer, when you do a rewind of a transformer, you need a coil winder because you need to get an even distribution.
Got to be even for the magnetic distribution.
Yes, exactly. But for some reason, it can be slightly out of. It doesn't have to be the same way for a loudspeaker. But you're looking at wire the thickness of human hair.
As long as you get the inductance.
Yes, that's right. So he said that's non-critical. So I sort of took some heart from that comment, and I have got a couple of old reed speakers which have got blown out coils. So maybe
might be fun to do.
It would be fun. I just love to get this thing all packaged up and more or less in its original configuration and take it on a picnic, because it works very, very well. It's got 3 battery packs. It's got two B supplies, 167 volts. I just use packs of A cells.
You still get those B?
Not where you probably can in America at a price.
Yeah, it'd be very expensive.
Yeah, but a lot of people use little bucking transformers and little circuits and package them up inside
The voltage, yeah.
You can just sort of buck up the voltage and put them into a package that emulates the old style of battery packs. And there's quite a market for that sort of thing.
DC to DC converters.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, so that sort of thing is available, and I may go down that route eventually. But I'm just packing up A cells and putting them in holders and taping them up and
sure.
Just doing it in a
I used to buy Bs for my Philips portable, and my parents did.
Yeah,
and I think they cost £2 each.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
And that was then, like £2
Yeah.
was about £20 or £40 now.
Oh God, yes.
30 anyway.
Yes, I can appreciate the
and it was, oh God, and it didn't go for all that long.
No, this is the problem. I know. Yeah.
It was great fun to have.
Yeah. But,
it was back in the 50s.
Sure. Well, Mr. Fleming's given me a couple of battery sets, and I've got one of them going, and it's a lot of fun. But again, I have to bank up lots of, in this instance, 90 volts worth of 9-volt cells.
Yeah, sure.
But it was interesting what you say. I mean, yes, it would have been quite a big business getting batteries, and they probably weren't that efficient. Yeah.
The radio itself was very, very good, very sensitive on. It was just an AM broadcast radio.
Sure. Yeah. No, that's great.
It was a lot of fun. I used to do DXing with it.
Oh, very good. That's great. Well, you wouldn't have any hum problems. It would be
nothing at all.
It would be clean as a whistle.
Basic noise level on the broadcast band in those days was pretty good.
It would have been fabulous for DXing, Frank. I can just imagine. Yeah, there were some astonishing rarities at the swap meet this afternoon, and I really wasn't in the market for them. And most of them is sold, and people. I think what happens is the vendors get there, and then they cross trade before it opens up to the public.
You got it.
So it happens at Hamfest too, and it's fine. I'm not my collecting acumen is very much the opportunistic type. I'm not aggressive collector.
Goes with the territory.
If something lands on my lap and it's interesting, I'll take great interest in it and try and learn about it. But these sort of fests, there are a few diehards who scout the tables and all of them. Yeah, a number of things get sort of whipped up before the thing even opens. But that's okay. But there were some very early Helicrafters sets and some very nice communications receivers. There's a few really nice units there, but in various stages of repair. There was a Flying Doctors transmitter, an original one, in huge thing.
Pedal radio?
Yeah.
Oh my God, I'd love one of them.
Yeah, it was incomplete. It needed a lot of work, but it was there. The pedal section wasn't there, but the rest of it was. And it had an incredible provenance, probably quite a story. It would be a real museum piece. And it would be
by Dr. Flynn.
Yeah, it's that sort of thing. I mean, it was a classic Outback large transmitter, from probably the 1930s or 40s.
Wouldn't you love to have one of them?
It would have been, look, it would be a great project. If you had time on your hands, it would be a really interesting project.
Yeah.
So that was there, and you just don't see that sort of stuff very often. And I caught up with Andrew, so Mr. Newbeck was there.
Newbeck, how is he?
Yeah, he's good. He's looking for a new place. He's looking to sort of upgrade in the real estate department. So
will he come closer to Melbourne? Or?
Yeah, I think he's hoping to, and he's working very long hours, and he's a busy man, and just trying to sort of get his life in order, and so that he can, move up in the world.
Oh, that's good.
It's not easy these days for younger people to get into.
Very, very difficult. Speaking as the father of two young.
Yes.
Well, a bit older than Andrew. But.
Sure, but it's not easy at all. I'm just thankful that Kate and I got in just in time, and because a lot of my contemporaries didn't, and anyone under 40, it's even under 50.
Well, under 50, that's right.
A lot of people under 50 have good professional jobs and can't afford a home.
I know. I know, it's crazy.
It's insane. And I heard something on the air, something on the news feed about the median house price in cities now is about $1 million.
Yeah,
And that's just like the average price. And
it's allegedly the most expensive place to live in the world, relatively. Sydney.
yeah, well, there you go.
On a per capita, average price.
It's insane. It's just crazy. I don't think any of my kids will have a hope of owning a home.
I can't see how my grandkids are going to do it.
No.
Then again, you never know.
You never know.
The girls might marry rich doctors.
Well, they might. This is one thing. And the other thing is that I think there'll be a trend of people living in apartments.
Yeah, we have to go to higher density living. There's no doubt.
I think there's absolutely no doubt about that. In fact, I had a long conversation with Henry last night, and he was trying to find a place to practice. And he went out on the outskirts of Berlin.
Oh, yeah.
And there was a place that was suggested to him along a nice sort of bit of a lake and a quiet place in a public park.
Nice.
And it would look really, he was on video, so I could see this area. It was really lovely. And then I sort of checked it out on the Google Maps, and it really wasn't that far from the centre of Berlin.
No.
But the thing is, it's such a high-density city. It's a city probably with the same population as Melbourne or thereabouts, but instead of having 80 kilometres edge to edge, it's 20 kilometres edge to edge.
They've learned to live that way.
Yeah, they have,
and they don't need their quarter acre blocks.
No, they don't.
Can't have them, but I mean they're quite happy not to.
That's right, and you can't have a collecting mania. Otherwise, you just got nowhere to put the stuff.
Exactly, you can't have the big front garden.
No, you can't. So yeah.
But still, they seem to have pretty full lives. A lot of they're culturally very rich.
I think that's the thing. I mean, if you lived in an apartment or lived simply without stuff, you'd probably get out and you'd probably do a lot more outside.
Exactly right.
And I think. Yes, it makes me feel very philosophical.
I remember when I was a kid, we used to go to the botanical gardens a lot. We lived in South Melbourne when I was,
it's very close to South Melbourne, yeah.
And it would be full of what we used to call New Australians.
Yeah, right. Very
interesting. They loved it. They would get out there on a Sunday afternoon and have a marvellous whole families,
Oh, that's wonderful.
Just out of proportion to the number that were living there.
Yeah.
It was obviously a big cultural thing for them to do.
Yeah. Fascinating, isn't it? I know that recently we had a family trip. Oh, it's not a family trip. Kate and I we had a stay in the Dandenongs for a couple of nights, and we went to the botanical gardens in the Dandenongs. There's used to be the rhododendron gardens, and now it was formerly a golf course actually, and now it's all it's a beautiful garden setting. It's magnificent and it's huge. It's a vast area and with very manicured gardens, very beautiful. And we wanted to see the autumn colours, and we went there. But I reckon we're the only Caucasian people there.
Yeah, well, that's it.
Yeah, and I think it has. I think some people from other cultures have a deeper appreciation, perhaps.
Indeed, they do.
Interesting, but so that. I mean, I think a lot of tourists go there too. So that's another.
Oh yeah, sure.
But yeah, interesting point. But yeah, we're in Melbourne, we've just got this vast suburban nothingness that just goes for ever and ever and ever in a day. But yeah, that's the way it is. Suburban sprawl. And then you get these poverty traps. You get these sort of areas on the outskirts which are just not serviced by public transport. They don't.
Will become almost ghettos, don't they?
They do. And yet they've probably got quite nice homes, but they're still ghettos because they're disconnected.
Exactly.
Yeah, so it's another issue. Yeah, anyhow. All right, we'll play a few more records.
Okay, this is vk3sl in contact with vk3sl crossband duplex, 2 meters to 160.
Indeed.
And also being broadcast on 7 megahertz and 70 centimetres.
Yeah, I heard from Mr. Stew during the week, and he said that he's been monitoring 40, and when we were testing on our presence on 40 metres was quite close to a net, which is on, on 7290.
Oh, really?
So I think we're in their way. But they thought we were international broadcasters.
Well.
And I noticed they were there when I started up today. So I'm hoping we didn't upset anyone. But
suppose being AM, it would be easy to be
they just took
taken for it.
They have a look at the signal on there. It sets and they see an AM signal and they think, international. And then they had a discussion about the top of the band and how it's shared and it's a common place and all of that. So and then they just moved. So I think they've done the same, because I look now and there's not. Oh, there might be. It looks like there's a carrier on 7290, but apparently it's in VK4, this net.
Yeah, look, there's plenty of room on the bag.
Oh, there is. We're right up the top. So anyhow.
Oh, you were on 7260 earlier. Contact with
right.
Stu.
Okay, really? I never want to hear myself on those.
I don't know. I kind of don't either.
No, I just don't want to hear myself. I just think, that was me then.
There's a bit of that, isn't there?
Yeah, you sort of think, okay. Yeah, and, you sort of, yeah, it's all right. It's there. All right. So,
I'm very happy for him to do it.
Of course I am. I'm more than happy.
More than happy,
I think it's great. Why not? I'm more than happy. Other people can listen to it, make what they want of it.
That's right.
But I never even listen back to our missions. I just don't like hearing myself on the radio, but I enjoy doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
it's all in the moment, isn't it?
It is in the moment. It's just a momentary happening thing. Okay. Well, 78. We've got here a Columbia record, a Speed 80 78, so mid-20s, and I'm not even sure if it's acoustic or... I think it's actually early electric. And the name of the song is Don't Sing Aloha When I Go. That's a little bit sort of tragic, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay. So we'll find out what this is
It's a
about.
Hawaiian number.
Yeah. We'll see what they've got to sing about here. We're wound up. We're ready to zip in action and zip in. Oh, wait a minute. The turntable is not doing what it should. I know why. I've got to switch on here. Bear with me, because I've been so distracted with our illuminating chat. Here we go. And there's a couple of other things I've got to do here as well. So I was still monitoring on Ironstone range, so I'd just have to switch off the callback there. Yes, bear with me. We just do a back to the beginning, and here's the record. Back to the beginning. Oh, we're still monitoring. The problem is, I monitor on the same computer that I use for the playthrough for the turntable. So I have to be careful that I mute the monitor. Yes. So there's a few steps involved, and if I'm not 100% on the ball, I miss the beat. Anyhow, we should be right to go now.
That's where I always long to be. Just smile and say you miss me so. Don't sing aloha when I go.
we go. That was a little bit benign. I was hoping for a real sob story there, but
No, he's coming back. It's all right.
yeah, he's coming back. He's heading back to his gal. Yeah. Anyhow, I've just noticed that our signal is all but evaporated on 40 on Ironstone. Is there still?
Big. We're up to level moderate magnetic storm.
Okay.
Going on as we speak.
Yes.
And with another moderate predicted for tomorrow.
Oh, how interesting. Okay, well that makes sense. It's interesting. It doesn't look like much on the SDR. It looks like it's all but gone. The carrier's strong, but the modulation's not happening. As it's not just us, everybody else too.
Sure.
And then, but usually I can still hear it. But when I listen on it, but there's obviously something affecting the status quo quite significantly.
Oh yes.
Yeah, interesting times. All right, storms everywhere, Frank.
Oh, everywhere, yes.
All right, the other side of that record is a track called Proud. And this song has some quite interesting provenance, which I'll come back to. But I can't remember this version of Proud. And it was a big hit in 1926. But there's another version of it after this, which I'd like to share.
Good.
Because I'm proud when I see you walking, proud when I hear you talking, proud of the cute little things that you say. Proud when I see you dancing, each little step entrancing, proud of your own original way. I have bought a gold ring for your finger. Wedding bells will ring, so please don't linger. I'm proud of your clothes and how you wear 'em, proud of the way that I am caring. I'm mighty proud of a baby like you.
Like the syncopation at the end. I thought that
very nice.
It was really quite clever.
Little double ending.
Yes, they give you that sort of little trip up at the end.
I think it's finished, but it does it again.
Exactly. They just pack in a couple more grooves, don't they?
They do.
Yeah, it's a good tune, and it happened to be a big hit for the Gin Goldcat Orchestra in January 1927 when Bix joined, and there's 2 takes of it floating around, and they both feature some of the very, very best solos. And the solos that sort of put him on the map in that commercial sound, that Whiteman sound, and this is probably very significant in the broader scheme of his development as a sort of as a session player and a member of sort of larger ensembles. So it's worth playing this. I mean, I've played it quite a few times. You'll recognise it for sure.
To it.
Yeah, but have a listen. It's the Gene Goldkett Band featuring Bix behind this, just after the vocal chorus. The vocal chorus features the Keller Sisters, who we actually played a Keller Sisters record last weekend.
Yeah.
But we'll hear them again, and then we'll hear Mr. Bix doing one of the most striking solos. One of them he breaks, he splits the note, but it doesn't matter one iota. I don't know if it's this one or the next one, but we'll play this and then we'll see if I can cue up the second one shortly thereafter. I've got the vinyl anthology record, the King of Jazz Story Bix Sessions, Volume 13, on the turntable, ready to zip. Come on, wake up. Okay, there we have. That was take one.
Oh, that was great.
It was really good. Yeah, that's from the anthology. But it's interesting. That came out, that anthology was gifted to me. Well, it's a bit of a story. I think I've told it. My art teacher in year 9 at Melbourne High knew that I was interested in early jazz, and he said, you can have all these records and just live with them for a year and make sure you give them back to me at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So I borrowed, I think, about 15, 20 records of all of the Bix anthology and dubbed them all off onto open reel tape, and I returned them to him, but he had 2 copies of this one, volume 13. So Yeah, this is the very record in question. But since that time, this was produced in the mid-'70s. Since that time, the transfer techniques have improved in orders of magnitude. You can hear they put artificial reverb and everything on that.
Yeah.
So I'll play now the other take of that recording. I'll just play the vocal and just Bix's solo and fade.
That had plenty of reverb on it.
Yeah, it did. It was sort of, a bit
Especially hear it with the singing.
yes, a bit manufactured. But that's
Oh,
okay.
still, I liked it.
Yeah, I think so. It brings it to life.
Nice little edge to it.
It doesn't worry me in the least.
I liked it.
I'm quite open to that. But look, I will play a later sort of transfer in more recent times of Take 4, which is a very, very different solo. You wouldn't believe it. It's just fascinating to hear Bix, how diverse he was in those early years. So, well, he was always diverse, but this is an interesting example with the same song. Here we go, Take 4.
A baby like you, do, 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 do.
That has to be one of the greatest jazz solos I've ever heard.
It's huge, wasn't it?
It's just it's got so much interest. I'm sorry, one more time. And hear the string bass in the background.
Like you, do, 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 do.
I love the way you used triplets in the last little phrase.
Yeah, beautiful.
Yeah, magnificent. So there we go. It's a little bit of a riff on the song Proud. So, funny how these things all have an extended dimension to them. Yeah, okay. Well, I haven't thought beyond this point because that whole subject's consumed me a bit. I'll pick up a pile of records, Frank, and see what else we've got here in our midst. Here's something. Let's see. The original Memphis 5, we played that the other day. Let's go back in its cover, because the covers escape and they go and hide.
Yeah.
And I've got this big problem with record covers just disappearing. So I'm going to put this one back in. And see what else we've got in this. Yeah, go on.
Paper covers.
Yeah, these are all paper covers.
I know, I'm used to them.
Yeah. They just always go, they go rogue. American Patrol. Oh, Glenn Miller. Oh, this is classic Glenn Miller record. We haven't had Glenn Miller for a while, so this will be all right. This will be, oh gosh, record's been well loved. We'll give it a burl. We'll put it on the table. Never know. It's a great
Late
song.
30s, early.
Yeah, about 39, I think.
Yeah.
This was a huge hit for the Glenn Miller Orchestra.
Certainly was.
And it really,
out of the war.
Yeah, definitely. And it's sort of, it's a bit of a signature sound of the times, to be honest. Yeah, American Patrol, Glenn Miller and the band. record's very wasted, but we got the idea.
Oh, yeah.
It's a signature sound of the times, and they had a really beautifully calibrated band. They worked so hard. He had a band of young musicians.
It was tight ass, wasn't it?
They were very tight, and they were very. It was a sweet sound, and they really worked on their tone. And well, not that you could tell on that recording, but their sound was just very, very refined.
It's interesting. Even though it was very, very tight, it wasn't tight like a British tight.
No, it's a different tightness. They swung.
They swung.
Yeah, that's a significant difference compared to the British bands,
That's
which
the
were.
very word.
Yeah, it's so interesting, isn't it?
Almost indefinable.
Yes, it is. It's so subtle that it's not something that you can really sort of put into a clear, definition. There's a couple of films, Sun Valley Serenade and Orchestra Wives, two films that Glenn Miller made just before, at the beginning of the war.
Yeah.
And they've got some great sequences of the band, and it's a very young band.
Is it really?
And he used to rehearse them intensely, and he had full control over them. They were young musicians with a really good gig, and they just did what they were told. And his vision reigned supreme, and he had a very particular aesthetic. He wanted to have a band with a lot of brass. The band had 4 trombones and had about 5 trumpets, and it was very brass heavy, but a lot of chorus effects. He really wanted that sort of real harmonic density in the sound, quite brass band inspired, really.
Yes.
And he used to synchronize the vibrato with the saxophone, so you can hear their vibrato is just absolutely in sync. And he would spend hours rehearsing them, apparently, and just working on these very finer points, and they all memorized their charts.
Yeah.
And so it was one of the most polished bands of its time, Glenn Miller. And I sort of prefer the more spontaneous hot bands, but I do love hearing their records. Yeah, it's great to hear.
I mean, we prefer it, but it's good that we've got it.
Totally, absolutely. And
even though we might prefer something.
Yeah,
else.
and saying that, I'm more than happy to indulge and hear these records. I mean, they're fabulous. All right, well, in this pile, there are a few other things of interest. There's the 1938 recording of Benny Goodman's band playing Bugle Call Rag. This is a masterpiece. This is when the Goodman band were at their absolute zenith. So we'll hear some more music from that time, late 1930s, and we'll square this up and have a listen. but there's two really interesting aspects to that. One is the driving rhythm of Gene Krupa,
Yeah.
and the other one's, I think it's a Fletcher Henderson arrangement. So black arranger, white band, go figure.
You betcha.
Yeah, so
And of course you have the solo.
yeah, of course.
It's great.
Yeah, fabulous. I mean, yeah, Ben a good masterful soloist.
I don't think Glenn Miller did solos.
No, he didn't do a lot. He did sort of stylized, sweet solos. He was a very good player. There's a number of records in the 20s, but he wasn't an improviser.
No.
He didn't have that. He didn't transcend his technique. To be able to improvise well, you've got to be able to sort of work well beyond the instrument.
He played the trombone, didn't he?
Yes, he was a trombonist. Yeah, absolutely. There's a number of recordings with Glenn Miller and Benny Goodman playing in Ben Pollack's band in the 20s.
Oh, interesting.
So, yeah.
Good to hear something.
And, well, look, I might dial one up. I'll put this record on next one, which is actually Tommy Dorsey. What I'm doing now, I'll see if I can find a late one of the Ben Pollack. Now, Ben Pollack is an interesting figure because he had a sort of a slightly elevated sense of importance because he felt that his band did bring together a number of luminaries who were to make it mega big in the next decade.
Yeah.
And he didn't feel like he was recognised enough, and he ended up topping himself, sadly,
Oh, no.
which is a bit sad. But
Identity crisis.
yes. So Ben Pollack didn't have look, he lived on. It was later in life that he did
Yeah.
that, but it was. I don't think it worked for him beyond a certain point. But in the early days, he did have Glenn Miller and Benny Goodman in his band. And I'll see if I can find some of those records. So in the interim, let's have a listen to, I think it's, let me find out what the name of the song. Yes, it's called Well Get It. And it's the music of Tommy Dorsey and the band from about the same period. I think all these records are from the late 1930s. It's exhausting.
Yeah, sure is. High energy.
High octane, yeah. And that was the Dorsey band. Tommy Dorsey's band, at least, from the that wartime period, and a track called "We'll Get It." It's got the lineup here. It's got Ziggy Elman. Yes, that's Ziggy Elman playing that.
Oh, boy,
those high octaves.
That was a Tommy Dorsey signature tune, I think.
Okay, it's a Scion.
I think it was one of his, what he was known for.
Yeah. It's classic swing, really, isn't it? It's right in the midst of that.
Oh yeah, really good.
Yeah, it's interesting that who the players who were seen as improvisers and who were not. Tommy Dorsey was not seen as a great improviser. He was more of an academic player.
Yep.
He could read off charts and do it really well and sound authentic to a degree.
Yep.
But mainly a chart musician, where his brother Jimmy was a really great free improviser.
Is that right? See, I hadn't distinguished them.
Yes, it's interesting, and I've heard that referred to quite a few times. Of course, Benny Goodman was a fabulous free improviser.
He was.
But whereas Glenn Miller was a chart man.
Yeah.
So you sort of got this, distinction between really good studio musicians and those who were able to improvise. Now, in those interviews with Artie Shaw, he speaks very disparagingly against those who were chart musicians.
He does.
And those who were able to cut loose.
Because he was a great improviser.
He was. He could just do anything. So those sort of distinctions are quite fascinating to sort of see in profile and when looking at the history of this whole idiom. Now, this is a great rabbit hole. We need more time for it, but I'll play a few. And we've got Ben Pollack and his orchestra with a very young Benny Goodman. Now, I didn't know there were any recordings of Benny Goodman from 1927. He would be 15, 16.
Have to be, yeah.
Yeah, he's really young. He was born about 1905. So, no.
Oh, 22.
Yeah, 1905. Early. When was he born? Let's get this established. Let's work this out. Benny Goodman. Benny Goodman. When was his birth date? 1909.
Yeah.
So he's born in
He was
1909.
young.
So it's 1909, and this is 1927.
18.
18. Far out.
Yeah.
He's pretty young, and Glenn Miller was only 1 or 2 years older, and they're both to become sort of the big, huge figures in swing music in the next decade.
Yep.
So here they are in 1927, and a track with the Ben Pollack Band called "Waitin' for Katie." Let's have a listen.
I'm waiting for my Katie dear. I may miss a lot, but I tell you what, there's a time when I'm never late when waiting for my Katie dear. Our appointment was for 7, it's 8:15. If she's not here by 11, then I'll simply have to wait. Oh, my new shoes hurt and my collar's tight, but I'll stand all night and I'll waiting for my Katie dear.
that.
Yeah, excellent.
That's a really hot track for 1927.
With Glenn Miller, at least Goodman was before, wasn't he?
Yeah, he's a child prodigy.
I mean, he was just
Yeah.
in full flight. He was.
Yeah,
He could have been totally adult.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it was all there. Amazing. That's quite a fabulous track. I'd never heard that before. It sort of brings into sharp relief the the level of talent and the ideas that were about in that earlier period. It wasn't all just the Whiteman entourage.
No.
There was a lot of other really amazing things going on. I noticed that the Ben Pollack had a sort of subset of his band called Ben's Bad Boys.
Okay.
And I should mention that in that last track and in the next, we have Jimmy McPartlin playing trumpet.
Oh, yeah.
Now, he took over all of Bix's stuff. He was a fabulous Bix imitator, played very much in the same style.
Yeah.
And it was sort of a clone in a way, and did all the session work that Bix couldn't do when he became incapacitated. So he was sort of the Bix shadow in a way.
Yeah.
And he featured in that last track, and I thought the playing was so like Bix, it was quite haunting.
Wow.
And so we'll hear this next track. It's Wang Wang Blues. It's Ben's Bad Boys, Ben Pollack's Bad Boys, 1929, a little bit later, but featuring, it's a small ensemble. And it features Jimmy McPartlin, Glenn Miller, and Benny Goodman. All young people cutting their teeth. that was Wang Wang Blues, Ben's Bad Boys.
Got
Jimmy.
to listen to Miller there a bit.
Yeah, we've got to hear a bit of trombone there. Glenn Miller.
Yeah.
Yeah, young Glenn Miller with Benny Goodman and
This
Jimmy
is
Pepper.
excellent stuff, really.
It's very interesting. They only made 2 records, and it's a small ensemble. That one and the next one I'm going to play as well. And I haven't heard this before, so it's a new experience for me. It's called it's called Yellow Dog Blues, another record with Ben's Bad Boys from January 1929. And that was Yellow Dog Blues with some comedic effects there.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, with Jimmy Pupal and Glenn Miller and Benny Goodman. And Harry Goodman was playing the brass bass.
My brother, was he?
Yeah, brother. Yeah. So, in the family. So he played a lot of those records from the 20s, actually, Harry Goodman. So, yeah. That's really historically significant, those records made by... with Ben Pollack's band. That was a subsection of the band, a small ensemble, and they made just 2 records, Ben's Bad Boys. But I'll play just one more with the band proper, and featuring both Glenn Miller and Benny Goodman et al. So let's have a listen to a track called Sweet Sue.
the moon up high knows the reason why, sweet Sue, it's you. No one else, it seems, ever shares my dreams, and without you, dear, I don't know what I do. In this heart of mine, you live all the time, sweet Sue, just you. In this heart of mine, you live all the time, sweet Sue, just you.
Okay, there we have it. Ben Pollack and his Californians with Benny Goodman and Glenn Miller back in 1928.
Sweet fiddles on the.
Yeah, it's quite interesting. That record is so similar in many respects to a rhapsodic recording that Whiteman put out on the same year.
Oh.
And yeah, I'm wondering if one's piggybacking on the other. Probably what we
Bit
just.
of a Whiteman sound.
It is using sort of extended forces.
Yeah.
And of course, last night we played a couple of the extended mixes from the those rhapsodic arrangements from PW.
Yep.
But so I might finish with one of the same song, actually.
Good song.
Yeah, it is a good song, and it features a fantastic big solo. It suddenly goes into double meter towards the end of the song, like the Gypsy piece we heard last night.
Yeah.
And then you'll just hear this big muted solo to die for behind the vocal chorus. It's fabulous.
What a way to finish.
Yes, good way to finish up the program, Frank. And we'll look forward to next week. It's all happening. It's busy times and not much space. But yeah, I'll do something on Friday. And
I've got a Friday family dinner.
Okay.
Patrick and family are going to the US for 3 weeks.
Oh my gosh.
I wish they would, actually.
Yeah, well, it's a big thing to do at this time, probably now or never. Well, no,
It's just about as soon never, but anyway.
Yeah.
They're going to do what they're going to do.
Yeah.
They're very responsible.
Of course they are, and they'll get some rich. And look, there's so much enrichment to be gained. You know,
Oh, yeah.
You're not in a hot place, but
They're just around the West Coast. They're going to be.
yeah, it'll be amazing, and I wish them well.
Thank you.
And so wow, that's great. So you won't be around Friday?
Not for dinner. I'll be late night tomorrow.
Yeah, sure. Well, we'll probably do something late night, but might be short. It's the weekend before we go. The following weekend, I'm off, and I'll be off for the better part of a month, so there won't be missions for quite some time. And there's a lot to do between now and then, but we'll make it all work. It'll be fine.
Look, I'll listen to see if you're on.
Yeah, no, I'll keep
call me or something.
I'll keep in touch for sure.
Yeah, sure.
Let you know my intentions, but I can't commit, listeners. I'm not sure exactly how it's going to unfold. Tomorrow I'm not around. We're going to see Jesus Christ Superstar tomorrow.
A lot of fun. I saw it many years ago when it was first on.
Yeah, it's a bit of a... I hope my father's not listening, but we're taking him as a bit of a surprise.
Oh, that's wonderful.
And
You'll
because
enjoy it. Great music.
it is.
Very good music.
I've got memories of my father dancing around in the lounge room in his caftan and his Jesus beard, and
Lovely.
in the early 70s, and so we're taking him to see it. So
Just a very quick one. I today heard a song from a musical called just hold on a minute.
Yep.
I'll be with you in 1 second.
That's okay.
Thinking.
Yeah.
Hades Town. It's called.
Oh yeah, the girls are really into Hades Town. They've seen
There
it.
is a song in Hades. He played a song in Hades Town.
Yeah.
Which was uncannily reminiscent of what's going on at the moment.
Oh,
called
right.
"We Build a Wall."
We build a wall. We build a wall. I will listen to it.
Have a listen and
yeah.
see what you think. But it just
sounds
it
pressing.
reminds us of a certain well-known politician.
Yes.
And it's being sung by the devil.
Oh my goodness me! We build a wall. Okay, thank you for that. I will listen with interest, and we might.
We built a wall actually.
We built a wall, and we might throw that in as an oblique reference.
It's worth a listen anyway.
Yeah, no, sure. Thank you for that. All good, Frank. Thank you so much for your company, and and thank you so much to the listener as well. And we value your presence. And we look forward to... Yeah, absolutely we do. And we'll be back again almost certainly next Friday, and probably something on Saturday. We'll see. Sunday's out of the question because we've got a big family event. And then beyond that, it's no missions for quite a while. But that's all okay. It'll unfold. And I'll be listening on the track. I've got my little tiny miniature radio. And
great. Have you got it working?
Yes, it works brilliantly.
I'm going to get one.
Yeah, it's very small. It's the size of a matchbox.
Yeah.
And so we'll play Sweet Sue, then I'll play an Eric Child to ride out while I cook dinners, and that'll be it for today.
Okay.
Okay, so much. Thanks, Franks. We'll catch
all
you
the
soon.
best to everyone.
Okay.
Go well.
Yep, and you too. All the best. And here we go. Sweet Sue, Paul Whiteman, and the band featuring Mr. B.
Okay, please.
Every star above knows the one I love, sweet Sue. Just
Good morning. Serge Charloff, who in his lifetime was rather overshadowed by Harry Carney and Jerry Mulligan, but history has proved him to have been one of the great ones on baritone saxophone in jazz. And he was heard then in one of his, well, it was a blues, and he called it Susie's Blues, and he's given composer credit for it. Sonny Clark was on piano, Leroy Vinegar was the bass player, and Philly Joe Jones was on drums, recorded in 1956, and it's part of that quite mammoth reissue called Capitol Jazz Classics. In spite of his obvious attraction for the music of Duke Ellington and Count Basie, Charlie Barnett hasn't been unaware of other people's contributions to jazz, and in 1949, when this Kai Winding piece was recorded, it was the era, shall we say, of the big arrangers. Their influence was very strong indeed. Manny Albam was the arranger, and the title is Really? That was called Really, and it came from Charlie Barnett. I've made time in this program for a fairly long track from the erstwhile Gingerbread Men album by Clark Terry and Bob Brookmeyer, which has just been reissued, and Terry sings with great good humour and style on this one, which is called My Gal.
From the ground. Yes, my gal's got great big legs. All they tell me, you ought to see it, David. And she's built up from the ground, built like a brick shipyard. I'm telling you, man. You ought to see it, man. You know, every time I see her coming near.
What happened?
My love just comes tumbling down. My gal's a mean, mistreated woman. She don't mean no one man, no.
What you doing with her then? What you doing with her then?
I don't know, baby. I've lost a lot of sleep about that woman. My gal's a low-down, dirty, stinking, greasy, mean, mistreated woman. Don't mean no one man, no.
Man, you better check her out. You better
I'm
check her out.
I'm gonna do something worse than that too. She gonna fool me out too. But then again, you know, I don't blame that woman, David.
Why not? Why not?
Because I'd be the same way if and I could.
I hear you.
If and I could. If and I could. That's right. I don't know what's wrong with my woman, David.
I do. I know what's wrong with her.
I wish you'd tell me. She ain't acting right at all. She ain't too cool. I'm about to sleep, I think. I don't know what's wrong with my woman.
Go upside her head.
She ain't acting right at all. Ain't acting right at all. But I know what I'm gonna do.
What you gonna do, Clark?
If she don't straighten up and start acting decent, I'ma take back my wig and let her head go bald.
That's dirty.
I know that's dirty.
That's
But
dirty.
she's dirty too. I'm gonna be dirty just like she is. She ain't right. Everybody calls my baby Cushfoot.
Why, man?
Cause her ankles drags the ground. Woo! Yeah, she's terrible. Ain't that mean? Woo-wee. Everybody calls my baby Cushfoot. Cause her ankles drag the ground. Yeah.
They do?
Oh, yeah. But there's one thing that you can bet for sure.
What is that?
And that is that they don't call her that when she's around.
She pretty tough,
She
huh?
me- oh,
She tough, huh? Tough,
She's
huh?
terrible. Let me tell you some more about my woman. I already told you about her big fat feet. Her hips look like two pigs in a gunny sack when she's slush-footing down the street.
Ah.
My gal, short and squatty, stand just about 4.5 feet off the
Tell her
ground.
look at it.
But she gives me the kind of loving that'll make a bulldog hug her house.
That was Clark Terry and Bob Brookmeyer, Hollerin' and Shoutin'. And it was called My Gal. It came from the Gingerbread Men LP, which has just been reissued, not under that name, with Clark Terry, Bob Brookmeyer, Hank Jones, Bob Cranshaw, and Dave Bailey. The late 1940s, pretty difficult times for Benny Goodman. He was trying to come to terms, it seems, with the new music. He wasn't liking it very much, and he finally gave it all away. But in spite of this, he made some fine records during this time with a band and some small groups. This one, Steel and Apples, which is sort of jazz history, was recorded by the Septet, Fats Navarro, Wardell Gray, Gene DeNovi, Mundell Lowe, Clyde Lombardi, and the drummer was Mel Zelnick. That was Benny Goodman in 1948 and Stealin' Apples. If you don't already know, Benny Goodman starts his Australian tour in Sydney on March the 6th. He'll be in Melbourne on March the 8th, Adelaide on March the 10th, and Brisbane on March the 13th. So Brisbane listeners won't have to come down to Sydney to hear Benny Goodman. And the group he's bringing with him, it's either a sextet or a septet. And it looks to be on paper, and I think we all know the sound of these people, it's more than adequate to back Benny Goodman. Peter Appleyard is on vibes, Zoot Sims on tenor, Derek Smith is the pianist, Ronnie Stevenson on drums, and George de Vivier on bass. Joe Pass on guitar is a query. We don't know if he's coming or not, but that, to me, sounds like a marvellous lineup behind Benny Goodman. He starts his Australian tour in Sydney on March the 6th. I hear that Wild Bill Davison has moved from New York to Washington, where he's ensconced in Blues Alley. But in 1966, he led a group got together by Fat Cat Johnson McCree in Fat Cat's hometown of Manassas, and they called the group the Washingtonians, reminding us perhaps of the early days of Duke Ellington. But these latter-day Washingtonians were Wild Bill with Tommy Gwaltney, John Eaton, Steve Jordan on guitar, Keita Betts on bass, and Bertel Knox on drums, and the trombonist was Slide Harris. She's funny that way. I don't think it was a sales ploy in the sleeve notes when Alan Morgan said that this track by Art Tatum is among 6 of the rarest Tatum tracks from the 1940s. Runnin' Wild by Art Tatum, and originally recorded in 1945, probably in Hollywood, and made for a label called American Recording Artists. They've just been rediscovered and issued in LP form. Apparently, some of the rarest of Art Tatum's work in the 1940s. If you haven't read Rex Stewart's book, Jazz Masters of the 30s, I think you should do, because it's got some marvelous stories about jazz men, particularly Art Tatum. It's published, by the way, by Macmillan. And although we never look upon Art Tatum as being a blues man, apparently he liked to sing the blues when he wasn't on stage. Little things like that, which we possibly didn't know about, and our knowledge of jazz and the people who make it is enriched by these stories. Well, the ingredients of this next song were the sort that almost guaranteed success. Teddy Wilson, with 2 of Denmark's finest jazzmen, playing in Baron Timmy Rosenkrantz's club, plus the very rare voice of Enith Kavanagh, who apparently came out of retirement, and as she puts it, she had waited 30 years to sing with Teddy Wilson.
something to live for, someone to make my life an adventurous dream. Oh, 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 what wouldn't I give for someone who'd take my life, make it seem gay as they say it ought to be. Why wasn't love like that ever brought to me? 'Cause my eye is searching the noon crowd, watching the promenade, seeking a clue to the one who will someday be my someone to live for. Oh, I want someone to live for, someone who'll make my life an adventurous dream. Oh, what wouldn't I give for someone who'd take my life and make it seem gay as they say it ought to be. Why wasn't love like that ever brought to me? 'Cause my eye is searching the noon crowd, watching the promenade, seeking a clue to the one who will someday be my someone, something I can live for.
And that's the sort of song that used to be called a torch song or even the blues, because it was a sad song. It was written by Billy Strayhorn, typical Strayhorn, I thought, melody and lyrics, and it was sung by Enith Kavanagh, a very rare recording with Teddy Wilson, which was made at Baron Timmy Rosenkrantz's club in Denmark. And Teddy Wilson had with him two of Denmark's finest jazzmen. If by any chance you have that rare and seldom performed Duke Ellington composition, The Perfume Suite, then you know that sprightly little one called Dances in Love. Well, this was in 1945. Junior Raglan was very much a part of the piece. Well, in 1953, Duke rearranged it and played it at that famous late-night session with Wendell Marshall and Butch Ballard, interpolating some rather tricky finger-snapping. That was Dances in Love from the Perfume Suite by Duke Ellington, not the original version, which was, what, 1945? That was 1953. And it comes from that selection of late night tunes played by the Duke, part of the Capitol Jazz Classics, and they made up the weight with a couple which had been issued before in another form, Nighttime and Kinda Dukish. That was Dances in Love from the Perfume Suite. So until next Saturday at the same time, or next time whenever it may be, this is Eric Child wishing you well from the world of jazz.
Eastern Time, 11 o'clock. Paul McClay with the news in brief. Finance ministers from West Germany, Britain and France have concluded a meeting in Paris to try to find the solution to the international currency crisis. Reuters says the ministers gave no indication of the measures they discussed to deal with the flow of American dollars onto European money markets. American bombers have made airstrikes against communist forces in Cambodia. The American Defense Secretary, Mr. Richardson, said yesterday the attacks were made at the request of the Cambodian government and were not of a major nature. The first prisoners of the Vietnam War are to be released on Monday. The United States Defense Department says more than 140 Americans will be released. The South Vietnamese and the communists in the South are each reported to be willing to free 1,000 prisoners of war. The United Nations Secretary-General, Mr. Waldheim, is in Dhaka for talks with the Prime Minister of Bangladesh, Sheikh Mujibur Rahman. Mr. Waldheim has already seen Indian and Pakistani leaders over the problems of the subcontinent. China has confirmed that a strong earthquake hit its western Sichuan province last week, causing loss of life and damage. It gave no casualty figures. Police in Sydney have arrested 2 men in connection with the sale of official police documents. One of the men is alleged to have paid a constable $50 for the documents. A police spokesman said a man was followed to a club at Darlinghurst where a second man was found photographing the documents. Both men are to appear in court on Monday. Cricket. Australia has begun well in its first innings of the match against the President's 11 at Montego Bay in Jamaica. At stumps, Australia was 55 without loss after dismissing the President's team for 231. And that was the news in brief. More news in 1 hour.
Good morning, everyone. This is Kevin Arnett on ABC Radio, offering you some music for some stations for half an hour, and for others, namely South Australia and New South Wales, we have an hour together. Let's start off with a jolly bright song, which comes from a guy who's been in Australia and he's been on television a tremendous amount. This is Des O'Connor. Did you ever lie and listen to the rain fall? Did you ever own a homemade apple pie? Did you ever watch a child while he was praying? Just don't let the good life pass you by. Did you ever hold a hand to stop its trembling? Did you ever watch the sun desert the sky? Did you ever hold a woman while she's sleeping?
the things we really need. Just look, my friend, there's happiness in living. Somewhere between broke and being free. Did you ever see the funny side of losing? Did you ever sit right down and have a cry? Did you ever take the time to help your neighbor? Just don't let the good life pass you by. We were made for loving, not for buying. Gold won't get the things we really need. Just look, my friend, there's happiness in living. Somewhere between broke and being free. Did you ever see the funny side of losing? Did you ever sit right down and have a cry? Did you ever take the time to help your neighbor? Just don't let the good life pass you by.
Well, the weekend may be here, but as Des O'Connor says, don't let the good life pass you by. Trumpet player Nini Rosso, who first came to notice in this country with his hit record of Il Silenzio, had a follow-up record to that, released about a year ago on a single. It was called Amigo, and his Amigo sounds like this. Nini Rosso played Amigo. We've had a couple of bright ones so far in the program, but here's something a little more serious. Delightful, but serious. Petula Clark and her latest single, The Wedding Song, by Paul Stookie.
He is now to be among you at the calling of your heart. Rest assured this troubadour is acting on his part. The union of your spirits here has caused him
latest single from Petula Clark, rather different to the things she used to record in the days of hits from Tony Hatch and Jackie Trent, who wrote so many things for Petula Clark which were so successful. But that's the latest single. It's the wedding song by Paul Stuckey, There Is Love. I think this next record is about a gossip. Sasha Distel, a delightful song called A Patati, A Patata.
Et patati, et patati, et patata, et patata, et patati, et patati, et patata.
You've been listening to a test transmission from vk3sl.
Et patati, et patati, et patata. Tu causes toute la journée. Et patati, et patati, et patata. Tu as toujours des choses à raconter. Et patati, et patata. Y a rien à faire pour t'empêcher de parler. Et patati, et patata. Et patati, et patata. Et patati, et patata. Lorsque j'essaie un peu de travailler, et patati, et patata, tu m'interromps pour des futilités. Et patati, et patata. Si par hasard je dois téléphoner, et patati, et patata, le téléphone est toujours occupé. Et patati, et patati, et patata. Et patati, et patata. Et patati, et patata. Quand on regarde un film à la télé, et patati, et patata, tu continues encore à jacasser. Et patati, et patata. Lorsque tu dors, je t'entends murmurer. Et patati, et patata. J'ai beau siffler, siffler et resiffler. Et patati, et patata. Mais je t'embrasse et enfin tu te tais. Et patati, et patata. Et patati, et patata. Et patati, et patata. Et patati.